Hi, welcome. This is Ander from Zenrows. Today we'll show you step by step how to scrape a website using Python. We picked Remotify for the demo of remote job board. Let's dive in. Once on the page, right-click and inspect to show DevTools on the Elements tab. It will show all the elements on the page. Then click on the Select item on the menu bar, and this will highlight every item that our mouse hovers. Select the wrapper on the job offer list. It has an ID of initial job list. We'll go to the console to get it using document.getElementById. Click on it and it will take you back to the Elements tab. Once there, we can see that every job offer has a job title class. Once again, we'll go to the console and select them with Query Selector All. And there we see an array with more than 100 elements, each one of these being a job offer. And inside each of them, we can see another item with a job title class, which is the job position. After inspecting the page, we go to the editor and import requests, the library we'll use to obtain the HTML. Next, create a variable with the URL we want, remotive.io, and call requests.get with it. That's the function that will fetch the content for us. And finally, we print the response. Now we go to the console to run the script by executing Python and name of the file you just created. And we see that it's a 200 response, meaning that everything went okay. Now we're printing response.ok, a boolean that will mark if it's a right or wrong result. In this case, true means everything went okay. Next, we'll print the text and see that the HTML is there. And once again, everything went okay. Moving to a different topic, we'll address the primary pain with web scraping, which is getting blocked. The main reason you can get blocked is making too many requests from the same IP, and using proxies will avoid that because each request will get a different IP. In this case, we're running Zenrows proxy. Its URL consists of your key at proxy.zenrows.com and port 8001. With that, and adding proxies to the request, everything will get routed through Zenrows, and you won't have to worry about getting blocked by IP. If we run it, the script will do exactly the same as before. We'll continue without the proxy part for simplicity, but let's keep in mind that we can add it back anytime. Next, we're importing BeautifulSoup. This library will handle the HTML and allow us to use selectors as we did in the browser with document.querySelectorAll. We're getting the object using BeautifulSoup, passing the response's content and which kind of parser we want, which is HTML in this case. And then we get the page's title and print it. In this case, the text is precisely the same as the title shown on the page. Now we want to start using the selectors we saw earlier. First, we need the main wrapper, the element with the ID initial job list. So we do that using the soup.find function and passing an ID with the selector we want. It will generate a new object called jobs wrapper, and then we'll use that wrapper.find. Here we're using nesting, finding an element inside another element. We're getting a job title, the first one that matches using class. Note that it is class underscore because class is a reserved word in Python. Then inside the job, we will get the job title by selecting the class job title. And same as before, using nesting with job.find. Then print to see that everything went right, and executing again, we get Senior PHP Developer, which was the first item on the list. Now back to the browser. We want to get some more information, not just the job title. Back on DevTools, we see that there's the job title, which is the element we got on the script, but its parent contains an ID, which is probably helpful for deduplicating in the future, or whatever we want to use for. Once inside the element, we also have a P, which is a paragraph. It contains an A tag with the company and a span with the location. And then to the right, the category is in a different tag. We should note them all. Also, take another look if you're interested in something else, and then go back to the editor. And we'll continue where we left off. Once with the job element, we want to generate a more populated outcome. For the moment, it will be a dictionary with all the items in there, and then we're going to print it. So the first item, the ID, is the job.parent to refer to the parent element of the job we had earlier. Then .get ID, which will get the ID, which is an attribute. Next is the title, and we have that from the previous example. No problem there, but we want to print the text.string. It will trim the white spaces to the left and the right. After that, the link. In the browser, we've also seen that the job title item contains an href attribute, which is the link of an A tag. So we want to store that too. We have a problem with the company because there was no selector to get it, and the same goes for location. We will generate an extra element by getting the paragraph element.findP. But then we're going to take the text and split it. There was a dot, which is the one on the 3 key on a keyboard. Shift+3 will print that dot, and splitting that will have the company on the first item and the location on the second one. Add them to the result, same as before, by stripping the content to avoid white spaces. The last element, the category, is the selector we just saw, so the same thing. Job.find selector using class with the underscore equals the selector we had, and then .text just as before. Now we save and run the script. Then we'll see a dictionary with several items, and everything looks fine. So we got all the content from the first position. So far so good. But the problem is we only have one job offer and we want them all. Before doing that, we will extract the result part to a helper function that we will call for each element on the list. We'll see a bit later how to do that. For now, just move the result part that we generated in the previous step to a helper function. Here we have to return the result instead of storing an internal variable. Nothing really changes here in the processing. We just moved part of logic to a function to reuse it soon. Then we have to call the newly created function to work as before. We're now calling the function to get the data we created, save, run, and exactly the same results as before. Perfect. Next, we're going to get all the elements. Rename the jobs variable and replace find with findAll. That will get an array with all the items that match the class job title. Then rename the variables to results in plural just to be precise. Finally, results will be an array of each job in jobs with the data extracted using the newly created function. Save, call it, and see a result similar to the previous one, but with an array with multiple elements, around 140. each one of them representing an item of the job board. I just copied it to a new file to see the JSON format perfectly. We can now check, for example, how many offers are there for the company plan.com, or for positions with software does dev in the URL, whatever we want. We got a JSON properly structured, and we can query it, but that's not the best format for human interaction. Next, we're going to export data to a CSV file and check on Excel how it looks. For that, we import pandas, a library that will help us by providing a data frame and a function to store data in CSV format. We want to create a new data element, a data frame using the pandas library. We pass in the results. Then we call to CSV. There's also to SQL, but we're not going to use it for the moment. Pass in the target file name, for example, offers.csv. Then index equals false removes an index automatically generated by the pandas library. We execute it and the file is generated, so we can open it using Excel or LibreOffice. And it exported all the data to a CSV or Excel regular file. You can browse and take a look, everything is in there. We can look for data manually or create filters. Then, using them, look for companies like, for example, TopTop. And the same goes for positions. How many data engineer offers are there? So at this point, this is a good option. This is great because we can filter and take a look, but it is not an actual database. We'll learn how to dump all this information in a database like MongoDB or MySQL for processing in a future video. One of the aspects of programming that we didn't cover here was error handling. We just supposed that everything went fine. If we modify a web page, we'll always return a 200 status code, but that's not the case. For those cases, we will add try except error handling, just to be sure that everything is working fine. Indent everything to the right, then accept exception as E, and we're going to print it for the moment. Nothing fancy, just avoiding that something breaks and we don't know how or why. The second point is, we'll only get to the data processing part if the response.ok is true, meaning that everything went fine. For example, the status code was 200, which is the case that we've seen so far. Or else, we're going to print the response to check which is the status code and what happened. And then, another topic that we didn't cover is reusability. For that, we want to move the storage part to its own function. Why are we going to do this? As in any programming task, reusability is essential, and single responsibility is also noteworthy. We're now moving everything related to pandas and store it to its own function, and maybe in the future to its own file, so we can edit it or modify it easily. Meaning that we can store data in MySQL, for example, just by modifying that function, that file, and note the whole snippet we've seen so far. This is a simple case, but the idea is the same: single responsibility for everything. And good practices, like in general software development, must be followed here. Scribing is just another aspect of software developing. Once again, to the browser, we will explore the job offer page. Up until now, we found everything on the home page, so this will be completely different. As we can see, there's a wall of text to the left and some info to the right. And exploring just as before with DevTools, we see that job description contains the full description. And there's an element to the right with the metadata. Back to the editor, we will modify our script to get the information from the job offer page and not just from the home page. First, comment out the store results. we're not interested in that. We are just changing some code to show how to browse from the home page to the results page one by one. And to avoid scraping more than 100 results, we want to take just the first 2. We'll make 3 calls in total. Homepage, first job offer, second job offer. We'll do something similar as we did in the previous step for the job details. We're going to iterate over the results, but instead of taking information from the job object, we'll make a new request. In this case, the URL will be domain, remotify.io, plus the link we got from the job, the one we saw in the href extracted in a previous step. Then, the BeautifulSoup part is the same, creating a soup object from the response.text part and parsing it as HTML, just as before. Nothing new here. Next, we're going to append an object containing the title to the details. In this case, the title will be the H1, the one we saw on the browser up there. h1.text.strip, just as we did before a few minutes ago. Then, the second element will be the description, which will be a whole lot of text. No small items as before, but the entire block. We'll see later that it is huge. It's not easily readable, but we can store it for whatever we might need. For example, later analysis for machine learning training or sentiment analysis. And the last item will be meta. We'll see that something will happen here because we will take the whole element by ID we want to print, but as we saw, metadata has lots of parts, and in this case, we will print and we will store the whole block as HTML and not text. Maybe it could be helpful to extract some different parts there, like category, job type or salary. We leave that to the viewer. Finally, we print it, and we see that the title is there, the description also is there with an extended text, and the metadata is there with all the HTML that we saw. And this is the end of today's tutorial. We hope you understood all the content and enjoyed yourself by learning how to script a website with Python. Thanks for watching.